Hi Gemini, welcome to your August 2017 General Tarot reading. It's Rena here. Okay, shuffling the cards. I think I'm going to do what I just did with Aquarius, just go like this, because sometimes it can bring a lot of fresh energy into things. Interesting. Again, this card a lot. Let's collect these. Okay. What I see from the top row here, Gemini, is a person, I'm assuming it's you, who's really trying to make something work. In a literal business situation, you could be someone who is even going back to school to get additional training so that you are more qualified and all these things. But the two cards that flank this card are cards of transition. So it's like kind of floundering, floundering is a bad word. Trying to stay above water and make something happen. Working really hard trying to make something happen, and still things are changing in your life. And you'd think that a Gemini person would embrace change. But if this is a, well, it doesn't matter. If it's a work situation, people have to pay their bills. If it's a love situation, you get attached to people too. I mean, everyone is human. Everyone has the same basic needs. So something, I just wanted to say eclipsed out of your life. And I'm thinking, why am I saying eclipsed out of your life? Because we're having eclipses in August. And it could be that someone leaves your life or has left your life despite what you tried to do to make it work. And what's interesting is that we get, alongside that Eight of Pentacles, we get the Ten of Swords. So, you know, this is talking about being stabbed in the back, of course, metaphorically speaking. I even think like in the workplace, they tell you that you need to do something in order to be qualified, and you do exactly what they say, and then they tell you they still give the promotion to somebody else. And the Death card in the past position could be suggesting that this was already all over but the shouting. Or somebody going to counseling, marriage counseling, and the marriage ends anyway. The person still screws them over. But the Ten of Swords can also be that the worst is over, that you've hit bottom. And so that it's going to be getting better. And it's so funny because as I was saying hitting bottom, I was thinking, oh gosh, it's going to sound, that might sound depressing to some people, but actually I use that on myself. When there are certain times that are difficult and it seems like they're, a long term kind of a challenge, I will look for signs that things are letting up. And then I will say, okay, the worst is over. That's what that card means, the worst is over. So it actually is positive. Maybe you've been really trying so hard to make something happen that was never going to happen. And now you can actually apply your energy to something that will benefit you, not somebody else. Not trying to prove yourself to somebody else when they've already made up their mind. The higher message is the Two of Wands. I've been getting this card a lot. Sometimes this can be choosing between two career paths. And this is a prime example of that. If you're working in, let's just say, it doesn't have to have anything to do with it, but I'm going to say either the financial arena or the construction, like if you're working in construction, because I'm thinking of something physical, like doing construction work or even carpentry. And maybe you trained for something because you thought, okay, this is going to really pay off, and it just hasn't. Don't cling to something because you have the training for it. If you really, A, don't want to do it, or B, it looks like there's some kind of a glut, because that happens too. It happened to me. Training to be a teacher at a time that a lot of people were losing their teaching positions. You know, so what happened was, and then I said to myself, well, I can always be a substitute teacher. And then I started looking, and they were saying that substitute teachers had to have teaching certificates because they had so many excess of teachers. So this is one example of staying, of thinking outside the box, as much of a wretched cliche as that is. When you kind of engage in groupthink, then you're like the lemmings that are all doing the same thing and they're falling off the cliff. If you can think of something on your own, then you're not going to have a whole bunch of other people doing the same thing, imitating. The Two of Wands can also suggest moving geographically. Maybe that's something that has been on your mind for a long time. And you have these endings represented by the Death card and the Ten of Swords to kind of nudge you along to do just that. What crosses you is the Queen of Cups. This is a very psychic energy. This suggests to me that you're overriding your intuition with your logic, with your Gemini air sign logic, and trying to solve all your problems with your intellect. And this is about what is beyond the curriculum, what is beyond the books and the conditioning of the world. This is about checking in with yourself and finding out how you feel about your life on an energetic level. When you just think of a thing that you want to do, whether it's apply for a certain job, date a certain person. If you don't feel good about it, that could be a sign that it's not the right direction to go in. But perhaps you've been blocking that because you have, in some misguided attempt to take charge of the situation. And sometimes, you know, it's funny that 10, the endings represented by the 10, is with swords. And so it's the end of thought. Now, not that you're never going to think again, but the end of relying on your thoughts solely to make decisions. If you're not somebody, if you're somebody that scoffs at meditation or anything along those lines, which is hard to believe if you're watching astrology readings that you could be that sort of person, but you know, it takes all kinds, right? So there could be a few of you out there. Perhaps you need to stop worshiping your mind and start practicing the art of allowing, sitting still, seeing what comes to you, seeing if any ideas come to you that could help you for career matters, making money, starting a business, telling you what step to take next. It might just be you hear, I'm not saying you're hearing voices, but you might have an idea come to you randomly, seemingly, that you should look up something online, or that you should go and take a walk, and you might be telling yourself just to clear your head, but really when you take your walk, you run into somebody who just so happens to be in your field and they offer you a job. You know, these things do happen sometimes. And when we be still, be still. When we are still, I was gonna say that saying, be still and know. When you are still, you will know. The advice, or what is coming in, is the Six of Pentacles. This is about more fairness in how you're compensated. This could also be that for some people you receive money on behalf of others that want to help you. If you need that help. And so it can be very beneficial if you are looking for a new position, because then you don't have to worry about your finances. The outcome is the card that I associate with soulmates, Six of Cups. If those top cards are related to a failed relationship that you really tried to make work, you may find a person who is much more compatible with you. Perhaps it will be a fire sign, Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius. We do have, you know, Sagittarius is your opposite sign, so that can sometimes be who it is. But we have the Leo, 2 Leo new moons. Both of them are ahead of me, but the one in August is appropriate for people watching August readings. So perhaps a new beginning with a Leo. That is a soulmate type of relationship. But even with your career matters, this could be something that you decide to do that you've always wanted to do, and maybe you always kept pushing it on the back burner because you thought that it was something that either could wait, or you thought it was just like a childish dream. And now it's speaking to you once again, and all these other doors may be closing, but that one will be the one that you walk through, and possibly where you belong. So if I call this Up Where You Belong, I'm sure that I will get some groans from people just for that, but I'm tempted to do that. But anyway, Gemini, I hope you enjoyed this. If you would like a personal reading, please click on the link below. I have career, love, combo, natal chart interpretations. I have that one on sale right now. And otherwise, have an amazing August. Bye.